We're here at St Mark's with our vicar, Sue Hammersley. St Mark's has been an inclusive church for years and years now, and we've been hoping and praying and challenging the church to support equal marriage, to enable same-sex couples to get married in church. Now, this week, the General Synod of the Church of England have been talking and debating about how the church might move forward. So we wanted to just have a chat, really, to respond to what's been discussed and what difference that makes. So perhaps, Sue, if you start by just telling us a little bit about your thoughts and feelings as you've been listening to the debates at Synod.
I think my overriding impression today, and of course it's only today that they've had the vote, is just how complicated the concerns are of different members of the wider church. I am relieved in one sense that the motion has gone through, because of course that does begin to move in a direction of travel that here at St Mark's we are way beyond ready for. But what came to light through all of the discussions has raised so much pain, and you'll be aware of pain from all kinds of different angles, pain that is real, and as somebody who is in a civil partnership myself, I don't like to be thought of as a problem, and I'm afraid that it's so easy to think the best way to fix this is just to get out. We are clearly causing the church all of this pain, and if we weren't here, then wouldn't it be a lot easier? Well, please don't hear me saying that's what I think we should do. We have to stay as faithful as we can to ourselves and to the church and the tradition that we love and that we belong in. And I think some of the wisest things that came through the debates were where people were saying, this is my struggle, but I want to struggle with you. And I found that quite hard, but encouraging.
Thank you. So perhaps it's worth clarifying what it is that the Church of England have voted on. So the Church of England have decided at this point that they won't be changing the doctrine of marriage.
Correct.
But that prayers and liturgies, so that same-sex couples, after having had a civil partnership or marriage, can come into church and be blessed in a service along with liturgy and prayers for that.
So one of the other things that has happened is that Issues in Human Sexuality 1991 has now been rescinded, and that is the document that controls the behaviour of the clergy, quite apart from anything else. So I'm really delighted that that has gone. Yeah. But what it means for us as a church, what it means for churches in the liberal tradition, is that we can begin to celebrate. We can actually take out of our repertoire, no, we can't. Of course, we're still not allowed to marry a couple. That's a longer process. But we can truly and wonderfully celebrate relationships regardless of the gender of the people who are in them. So it's a joy, it's a delight. I hope that actually in churches like ours, it means that we can completely do away with any sense that I started with of feeling guilty, feeling that I'm a problem. That's not what we think. That's not how we behave. There haven't been any bars on people in this church for decades. I don't think there ever have since the church was rebuilt in 1963. It's just a joy to be able to unreservedly welcome people.
And that feels like quite, not as much change as was hoped for, but that does feel like actually quite a big change.
I think, having listened carefully to the full debate, I had begun to think this wasn't going to be passed. Actually, it was passed quite clearly, and I think that's what the church, now there are going to be people really having to work out their place in the church. From our point of view, we haven't got to work out our place in the church. We can now unreservedly celebrate the joy of relationships, and I'm delighted that we can do that.
Yeah, it's good. One of the things that you mentioned a moment ago was that lots of people have been impacted. I think this week particularly, and the coverage over the last few weeks, but obviously longer term as well. Is there anything in particular you'd like to say to people who have been impacted?
I think if you're hurting, talk about it. There are people hurting from lots of different perspectives, and I think it's important that we just make space for the pain to be acknowledged. This is a church where your questions are valued. My questions are valued. We're not trying to fix it for you. We're not trying to tell you what to think. So this is a good place to come with unresolved concerns, because that's the nature of faith. That's the nature of following Jesus. He told stories. He didn't set things in doctrines. So we tell the stories of my experience and your experience, and together we discover something of God's extraordinary love that holds us when we're struggling and supports us to become the people God knows that we are meant to be.
And at St Mark's, we try to be transparent, don't we? We try to be honest and clear about our beliefs and about our practices. And we're going to continue. To try and to remain committed to be a church where everyone is welcome and everyone can belong.